Hello, Marengo Mike here, bringing you another best of COS Indiana Live broadcast. So settle back and enjoy. We'll see you all back here again next week.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to COS Indiana Live. Glad to have you back with us again this week. Got a really special broadcast, I think, for you tonight. Very anxious to get back into it. And of course, I want to welcome back our co-host, Ken Kashuba. Welcome back, Ken. Nice to have you back.
Thanks, Dale. It's good to be back.
So where you been the past couple of weeks? I've been trying to cover for you, but
so how's that gone for you?
You what?
How's that gone for you?
It's been a struggle out there.
That'll just go into my raise for sure when I make that raise request. But I've been off, like the song says, working for a living.
Yeah. So. You now tell everybody, Ken, what you're a videographer, right?
I'm a videographer that I pretty much have my own small business doing corporate, and corporate was the main flux when I started it, but it's kind of branched out. I do all kinds of things to this point, so which is the nice part about it. I get to do all kinds of things, meet all kinds of people, and
well, good for you.
Yep.
Well, we struggled through it, so we made it. Just don't let it happen again, if you would, please.
Yeah, I haven't put in my vacation time yet, so when you get that notice, just
All right. Well, Ken, as you all know, if you've watched our broadcast before, Ken will monitor the viewer comments and any questions that happen to come in, and he'll flash those up if and when appropriate. So that's what Ken will be doing, and of course he'll be helping out, and he's going to be conducting. Now that Ken is back, we're going to do our polling segment again. Raise your voice. So we'll be talking about that very soon, giving you some more information on that. But before we get started here, Ken, I just want we've been keeping track of the number of broadcasts, and tonight's number 154.
154.
Yeah,
working towards that next plateau, huh?
Yeah, 154. And what you've been on? What, the past 5 or 6? Is that right? Or
5 or 6 according to your calculator, which I think broke about about 6 months ago, I think. Actually, after missing a couple, we are actually on 23. So,
are you really keeping track, or I guess I have to take your word on that.
Yeah, you'll have to.
23, really? Wow.
23. Yeah, yeah. It's been an interesting ride.
Time flies. Well, just want to remind everyone before we get started here, our national website, conventionofstates.com. That's where if you're not a supporter of Convention of States, that's the first step that you need to take is go to conventionofstates.com, our national website, and sign up, become a supporter here for us in Indiana. Might also mention coming up, well, as a matter of fact, next Monday, Ken, is our roundtable broadcast at same time, same place. It's just that the format is totally dedicated to a roundtable discussion. And see, Ken, you weren't at the last rehearsal for this, so we made the decision on the topic without your input. So I hope I hope it's okay with you, but we're going to be talking about inflation.
Inflation. Well, yeah, that's been a hot topic. I mean, I can't get away from that.
I
So
don't know.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, and we always enjoy the roundtable. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll get plenty of participation. So
Yeah, I believe, and our guest tonight is John Ackerman, and John's the master of ceremonies for the roundtable broadcast. So
John's
he'll.
gonna have his hands full on that topic. I think he's gonna have to.
You think we might have some things to talk about with that topic, don't you?
I think so. You might have to worry about going over an hour and a half or two, maybe.
Could be, yeah.
Yep.
Well, let's kind of give everyone an idea of what we're going to be talking and doing tonight on the broadcast. We've been kind of following the theme this year of what action can I take through Convention of States? Being an activist, what activist action can I take through Convention of States? And so that's kind of been the theme. Now tonight we're going off that theme a little bit. We're going to talk tonight, and our guest is going to be John Ackerman, and John is going to talk about the Convention of States core values. And I think this is going to be really good. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a set, I believe it's 7 core values that Convention of States is based upon and stands for and implements and exercises. And I think you're going to find this very interesting. I think it's kind of unusual for organizations to put forth what they stand for and what they believe in to any extent. So I think this is very, very helpful information, and I hope everyone will appreciate it. And John, of course, does a great job in presenting it. So,
and there are actually 6 of those, Dale. Those are 6, not 7, but
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 7 of them.
7. I must have missed one. Okay.
You had me guessing here. Okay. Well, we'll get through it here. We'll get through it.
Nothing wrong with adding an additional value. That's for sure.
All right. Well, that'll be our special guest then. Time permitting, we've got a contributor segment that we want to present tonight. Now, this is Rick Lyon, who does the Lion Truth, and actually we have played this one before. These are pre-recorded segments. This is on self-governance, and I thought this tied in very well with one of the core values that we'll be talking about, and that's self-governance. So this contributor segment we actually played, I think, back in February. So I thought we'd play it again. It's good, and it's Rick Lyon and the Lion Truth. It really is. All right. Well, as I mentioned, tonight we're going to talk about Convention of States core values. And our guest that is going to discuss this is John Ackerman. And I know John, I'm going to bring John on here very, very shortly. And I think John was a perfect candidate to be selected to talk about our core values based on John's background. So let's, without further ado, let's bring John on. Hello, John.
Hi, Dale. Hi, Ken.
Hi, John.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Good deal. Well, John, as you just heard me say, how I thought you would be a perfect candidate to be the person to talk about core values. I mean, you're such a highly value type of individual. Yeah. I mean that seriously, really. But tell everyone a little bit of your background. I know you're retired now, but during your working years.
I was a pastor, two different churches, one in Indiana and one in West Virginia, for a total of about 10 years. And then I felt that I was really called to teaching. So I went back to school, got an advanced degree in adult education, and I was hired in 1984 to be an instructor in Christian education at the seminary where I graduated, which is in Anderson, Indiana, connected with, or part of Anderson University. And so I was moved up from instructor to assistant professor, associate professor, and then full professor. And you know what a full professor is, don't you?
No.
It's someone who can go down deeper, stay down longer, and come up drier than any scuba diver in the world. Okay. Right? And I was well qualified to be a full professor. and I professed, Christian education and leadership concepts and group dynamics and interpersonal relationships for about 32 years. And then I retired. Yeah. And I'm enjoying this as much as I enjoyed going to work,
Good. Well, I think you were an excellent candidate to talk about core values. Might also remind people once again, John is our master of ceremonies for our roundtable broadcast every fourth Monday of the month. Next one coming up next Monday, June 27th.
Oh, really? Oh, I better put that on my calendar.
You better get that on your calendar. Don't scare me like that. He's just kidding, folks. He's just kidding. Okay. Well, John, as you know, John's been a guest on here before, but we always ask COS leadership individuals that come on as a guest to tell us your COS story. You've kind of told us your personal work history. Tell us your COS story, John.
Sure. I was sitting at my desk about 8 years ago, about this time of year. It was in the summer of 2014. Scrolling through the internet, and I saw something about Convention of States. I had never heard of that organization before. But my whole life, ever since I was old enough to vote, I've been concerned, worried, troubled about federal spending. Because it seems like the federal government, except for one short period that I can remember, always has spent more money than it took in. And I just wondered, how long can this go on? And I've also been worried about things like term limits, because it seems like even good men and women can get elected to the House or the Senate, but when they get there, they fall into that black hole. And then it seems like so many of them, the number one thing that they live for is to get reelected, not to serve we the people, not to obey the Constitution, not to do what's right for the country, but to get reelected, And so I've been concerned about these things. And I saw this thing about Convention of States. So I checked it out. I read up on it. And I said to myself, if it's possible to save this republic, and who knows if it's possible, but if it's possible, this looks like the only potential solution. So I signed up, and I signed the petition. That's what that means. I put my name and my contact information on the famous petition, calling on Congress to call the Convention of States under Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution. And it wasn't very many weeks after that, I got a phone call, Dale, from your predecessor, Diane Gomez. She was the state director, and she said,
I got the same phone call.
She said, "Oh, this is so wonderful. Would you like to be a district captain?" And I said, "I don't know. What does that mean?" So she told me, and I became a district captain, and then one thing led to another. And I was part of the unsuccessful attempt in the Indiana General Assembly in 2015 to pass the COS application. And then we regrouped. We did some research, and we came together in the summer of 2015, and we had a whole new approach, and we started working that approach. And lo and behold, in the 2016 session of the General Assembly, we passed the Convention of States application, sent it to, I think it goes to some officer in the House of Representatives. I forget exactly where it went, but we became state number 6.
Yep.
And I guess there's 19 states now who have passed it.
That's right.
And so we're more than halfway there. We need 34 states. And I think it might happen in the next year or two. Things are rolling in. So that's my COS story in brief. And I've been active in Indiana Convention of States, the last 8 years.
I know, John, you've served in different positions, leadership positions in Convention of States. And I might mention for everyone that last September at our annual strategy meeting, we awarded John an award called the Challenge Coin, which is the highest individual award given by Convention of States for outstanding work and dedication. So John was honored with that last September. So,
man, if I had known you were going to bring that up, I would have brought that with me and held it right up here so everybody can see it.
Yeah,
it's like the Congressional Medal of Honor, except it's a limited edition. There's only so many of those things, so many of those coins that they struck.
Right.
And so they're going to run out of them someday. So,
well, sorry I didn't mention that to you earlier. I just thought about that, quite honestly.
No problem.
We'll do that another time. I'm sure we'll have you back again another time. Okay, John. Well, let's talk about core values with Convention of States, and I guess a good way to start is to ask why do we have core values? What's the purpose of this?
That's a great place to start. Back in one of my classes that I taught on leadership and group dynamics and so on, I used a formal definition of what a value is, and I'm going to get slightly academic here for 30 seconds. Okay, can you handle that?
Just 30 seconds, okay.
A value is any person, relationship, or object which, when freely chosen and acted upon, contributes to the self's meaning and enhances its worth. That's what values are. We all have values. You have them, Ken has them, I have them, and organizations have values. And I really think that values determine our behavior. We do the things that we value. For example, I bet you all three of us brushed our teeth this morning, right? Well, you don't have to answer that question. But why do you brush your teeth? Because you value health. You value dental hygiene, and you understand the relationship between dental hygiene and your full body health, because there really is a connection there. And so virtually, if not everything, virtually everything you do grows out of your values. These are your beliefs. These are the things that contribute to who you are as a person, and they enhance your worth. And so your behaviors, I really think, grow out of your values. And so it's really important to look at my values as an individual, your values as an individual, or a group of people, like a social club, or the Lions, the Rotary, or a church, or a group like Convention of States. Why core values? Because they determine our behavior.
Very, very good. Good, John. That's very good. Very good.
Do I get an A, Professor?
So far you are. So far you're earning an A. Yes, you are. All right. Well, let's get into. There's Ken said I was wrong, but I believe there are 7.
Well, you're both right, because there are 6, but there are also 7. So 6 is part of 7.
Oh, John.
COS does have 7 core values.
Now you're trying to cover for Ken there. Okay, all right.
Well, no, you're both right.
Well, first one, John.
Okay. First one is called, as you see there, Empowering Purpose-Driven People. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing. There's several sentences here, but the crux of it is that COS seeks to build a nationwide network of grassroots leaders who are motivated by real lifelong relationships, not some faraway organization that issues edicts from on high, but people who love their community, they love their country, and they want to get something done. Now, that purpose-driven thing was a catchphrase, I don't know, 15 or 20 years ago. Everybody had to be purpose-driven. And anyway, our COS people picked up on that. But what we need and what we want in this organization, on the state level and on the county level and in the cities and even the districts, because we're broken down into our Indiana House of Representative districts. Everybody has a member, a representative in the Indiana House. And on the district, and there are 100 districts, right, guys?
That's right.
And that's more than the number of counties we have. So you can see, but what we want in Convention of States, Indiana, is at least 100 purpose-driven people, one district captain in every district who has a purpose, and that purpose is, hey, save the republic, because we're going down the tubes, and if we don't go bankrupt, it might turn into, I'm not a fearmonger, but one of the things I've thought about is the French Revolution, how terrible that was, and I don't want to see that kind of thing happen in the United States, and I'd much rather see peaceful transformation, and call that Article 5 convention, propose some amendments that will bring the country back into line with what the founders envisioned back when they wrote the Constitution in 1787, and to empower local purpose-driven people to get something done for the good of us all. So I better not. I could spend 45 minutes on each of these 7.
I bet you could.
Remember, I told you go down longer, stay down. Go down deeper, stay down longer, and come up drier. I don't want to do that. We got some time limit here, so we better move on to the second core value.
Let's go to the second one. Be kind.
Be kind.
Pretty clear, isn't it?
When I read that, the first thing I think of is back when George H.W. Bush ran for president, and COS is not a political organization. We have Democrats and Republicans who support our project, but so this isn't political. But Bush said he wanted to make a kinder, gentler nation.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that be nice today?
Yeah.
if we had a kinder, gentler nation. But this is really built on the whole idea of servant leadership. And if you read the sentences under that heading of be kind, you'll see that COS National is aiming towards servant leadership. We don't want despots. We don't want dictators. We want people who are servants of the people and step up and take leadership and say, folks, this is how we can get some good done. And we do it through kindness. And I have to confess, my whole experience with Convention of States, both with local leaders and national leaders, has been that these are people of kindness. I haven't had, in 8 years, I haven't had one unkind word directed toward me from anybody in Convention of States. And I can't say that about things like Facebook. I've had some people on Facebook say some very unkind things to me and about me. But what we strive for and our value here is to be kind, not only to one another, but to people in the opposition. Because let's face it, there are some people who oppose the Article 5 Convention of States.
Certainly are.
We argue with them, but only in the academic sense of arguments. We lay out our arguments, but we do it with kindness. And one of the things I've come to appreciate is that we also develop relationships with elected leaders on both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans. And we treat our elected representatives with kindness also. And right now I'm thinking, of the old slogan, you catch more bees with sugar than with vinegar.
Right.
And so we want to be kind.
All right.
Want to move on to our third one?
Yeah. Now this is a biggie. This is a biggie.
It is. It's a huge biggie, and it should take no one by surprise that we seek to create a culture of self-governance, not only in the country, but in our organization. Now, you think about self-governance, how important that is. Nobody wants to be told by some dictator what to do, how to vote, how to spend your money, what kind of car you are to drive, who you are to marry, how many children you are allowed to have. But there are countries in this world right now who do all those things. Think about China. Think about Cuba. Think about Russia. Think about Ukraine. They want self-governance. Right now, looks like they have a great, courageous president. He's bearing up under this horrible attack that's been going on, 100+ days now. But these people, the Ukrainians, they want self-governance. They don't want big bear Mother Russia coming in and taking over their land and their cities.
Yeah.
We want a culture of self-governance. And Dale, here I'm going to embarrass you a little bit. As our state director, I have noticed that you practice self-governance. When we have these rehearsal meetings, the meeting before the live public broadcast, you don't lead as a dictator does. You lead as a servant leader who wants us, the participants in the live broadcast, to be self-governing. I mean, sometimes for me as a participant, it gets kind of frustrating because I'm looking to you for leadership, and you come to the meeting and you say, well, guys, what do you want to do this month?
Now, Ken, I did not tell him to say that. I know what you're thinking.
Yeah, you are. I'm wondering exactly how much it cost you on that one, John.
I told you.
Cost him nothing. He didn't know I was going to say that.
Well,
no, and I agree.
But really, we want self-governance in the country and in our organization.
Yeah, and that is stressed throughout Convention of States, day in and day out.
I think from top to bottom, this organization. Yep.
Self-governance. That's how true. All right.
Ready for number 4?
Let's move on here.
Act, learn, and adjust. Yep. Rather than I'm going to read it a little bit here. Rather than being afraid of adversity and fearful of action, we want to promote a culture that acts courageously, learns humbly, and adjusts strategically. Now, I experienced this in the summer of 2015. As I said a couple minutes ago, we came up short in the Indiana General Assembly in the 2015 session. And again, Dale, your predecessor, Diane Gomez, she called everybody together. We met at a pavilion in a state park somewhere in southern Indiana that I could find if I had to, but I can't recall.
Before my time, but I heard about this.
I can't recall right now. But we met, and Diane had done some research, just as I'm sure you would have been doing if you were wearing that had in those days. And she said, we need a new strategy. And so we took action. We went to the State House. We lobbied our legislators, but we lost in 2015. We learned from our loss, and Diane got some very good counsel from some members of the Indiana General Assembly, one of whom went on to become a United States Senator, Mike Braun.
Mike Braun. Okay.
He's been one of our champions ever since.
I knew there was a connection there with Mike Braun, but I didn't know quite how.
And he schooled Diane on what we had to do. And the thing we learned was, don't wait till January and February, because that's the busiest time for state legislators and lawmakers on the state or national level. Build relationships with them now in the summer, in the fall. Go to their places of business and start to lobbying. So we adjusted, and by golly, we were successful in 2016, and we became state number 6. And so that's our whole modus operandi. Can you handle a little Latin? Okay. Act, learn, and adjust. And you know, we felt bad, but we didn't sit around and mope, and we didn't whine and cry and say, oh, you know, poor, pitiful me. We figured out what we had to do to win. And the second time around, we won. And that's the way this organization works.
Well, I'll even go so far as to say that act, learn, and adjust. That's a basic value throughout the organization, because we are constantly changing, and I mean, we have to. You know, we have to. I think you know, if you wanted to pick out one particular thing, the use of technology in this organization has evolved quickly and broadly, and you know, you need to act, learn, and adjust to that to function in our organization, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing. Okay, John, very good, John. Let's move on to the next one. Were you finished with that one?
Yeah, we better be finished. I don't want to keep everybody here till midnight.
We could talk for quite a long time on all these, couldn't we?
Half an hour to 45 minutes on each one of these. Number 5.
This is another biggie, I believe.
This is big, yeah. Do you know which country has the oldest written constitution in the whole world? The oldest written constitution ever in the whole world?
I think I've heard this said a different way, but it's us, isn't it?
It's these United States of America.
Yeah.
And some people like to call it an experiment in representative democracy, and maybe it is, but it sure is passing the test. Now, that we've got some forces out there now that are trying to rumble the ground and bring the house down. But those of us in the Convention of States movement really believe in constitutional originalism. This written document from 1787 until now has survived the test of time, and it has empowered our country to become the freest, least racist, most prosperous nation in the history of the world. And we believe that our country should adhere as closely as possible to the exact text of the Constitution as written. And I, for one, as a constitutional patriot, am so glad that we have members of the Supreme Court now who have publicly stated that they are constitutional originalists. It's not a living document. Well, it's living insofar as it can be amended.
Right.
And so far, Congress has proposed all the amendments, and we, the people, want to propose some amendments. That's what COS is all about. To that extent, it's a living document. It can be amended, but it has to be a super majority. You know, 2/3 of the states have to request the convention, and then 3/4 of the state legislators have to ratify any amendment before it becomes part of the Constitution. But I'm not really a historian, but I'm a a history buff, and I've read some of the biographies and some of the accounts of the Constitutional Convention and the men who were in that hot meeting hall in Philadelphia during those long summer months of 1787, and how they hammered this thing out, forging together from 13 independent states a federal system that protects the rights of minorities. It's not democracy where majority rules and mob rule can take over, but it's a representative democracy, and it does protect the rights of the minorities and of the individuals. And we are committed to constitutional originalism. That's core value number 5 of our 7.
All right.
Want to move on before it gets to be too late?
Yeah, let's keep going here.
Judeo-Christian values. And here, I guess I'm qualified to talk about this one because
I think so.
I am an ordained minister. As I said, I was a pastor, and I studied theology, and I taught in a theological seminary for 32 years. But our country was founded on the Judeo-Christian values that are enshrined in the Declaration of Independence, things like all men are created equal. Now, Thomas Jefferson, who wrote those words, was deeply conflicted about slavery. I believe he wanted to free his slaves, but he couldn't figure out how to do it financially. But George Washington put in his will that his slaves were freed. What was it, upon Martha's death or his death? I forget the details. But all men, and they meant men and women, are created equal. Where do you suppose that came from? That's from the Bible.
Right.
Book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 27, God says, "Let us make man in our image." And he doesn't say some men are less our image than other men. And some people are female and they are less than the male of the species. God didn't say that. He said, let's make all humankind in our image after our likeness. And so, that's what our core value means when it says it's founded on values that are enshrined in the Declaration of Independence and in the Constitution. And so we really believe each individual is made in the image of God and deserves to be treated with utmost respect. And even though COS is not a theological organization, I, as a amateur theologian, am happy to declare that this is theological truth, and that I'm very happy to belong to an organization that upholds things like this, same things I believe as a Christian minister, and it's good to see a so-called secular organization upholding something like this, and wanting to protect the rights of everybody, every man, every woman, every child, every unborn human being, still made in the image of God. Right. Well, I could preach a sermon now, Dale.
I think you just did. Don. All right. Let's move on here. I think this is the last one, isn't it?
Number 7, and without getting too biblical, in the Bible, 7 is the number of completion. So,
I just want to point out. Last Monday we had Jill Jones on talking about becoming a constitutional coach, and she pointed out how much of the Bible that you can find in our Constitution.
Oh yeah.
The founders relied upon the Bible quite a bit.
They did.
And once again, and that's the Judeo-Christian values coming through into our founding document.
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. A little sidebar there.
Well, okay. This last one is real world measurable impact. And we're not just a pie in the sky organization that wants to see good things happen someday, somehow, but we want to change the way things are, because in a lot of ways our country has strayed away from constitutional principles, constitutional values, and we want to impact the nation. So it's real world, it's impact, and it's measurable, because I think we do have a transparent organization. We know what's going on. There isn't anything hidden or behind closed doors, and we want to measure, and we can measure, and we do measure that impact. To be honest, during 2020 and 2021, Convention of States didn't grow very much, mostly because of COVID, because state legislatures weren't meeting
Right.
as often as they used to meet. And when they did meet, it was very truncated. They just had to do, things that had to be done. But in 2022, man, the logjam has broken. And we've grown, and for a while there, what was it, in March or April, it was just wham bam, one state after another was passing our application, and we're up to 19 now. And I hear from the national that we're pretty close to number 20 and maybe even 21. And I think, isn't the national goal 22 and 22?
That's kind of been the, yes.
Yeah.
22 and 22. That's kind of been the goal.
And we're not quite halfway through 22, but we're almost at 22 in 22.
While we're there, John and Dale, we did have a question earlier that I think is a good time we could just recap it. I know you've actually talked about it, John, but there is a person named Tammy Lundy who wanted to know what happens if you get 34 states. So talking about where we are right now and what we're looking to reach. Maybe we could just recap a little bit about what happens when we hit that 34 state mark.
I think it's a when, not an if. I think it'll happen. And good question from Tammy. Thank you for posting that. What happens is, my understanding, and I have to go back and refresh my memory, but this is a matter of law. Congress wrote this in the code, I think, that once they get 34 states passing the same application, same important words.
Yes, that's important. Yes.
See, Congress. Can I tell the dirty little secret? Congress doesn't want this to happen. And if 33 states pass the same wording, but a 34th state changes the wording, Congress will nullify that number 34 and say, oops, they're not asking for the same thing.
That's right.
So it has to be precisely and exactly the same. And that's why you'll find every state passing the exact same wording on the application. But once 34 states pass it, Congress has no choice. It's a matter of law. And the Constitution says Congress shall, and that's the strongest word, strongest verb available. Congress shall call a convention of the states. And the only role Congress has is calling the convention. They can name the date and the place. But then every state, all 50 states, get to send delegates. And I don't want to get too much in the weeds here, but each delegation then has to decide how to vote. Every state gets one vote. So California can't overpower Indiana. Illinois can't overpower Rhode Island, and Texas, a red state, can't overpower Delaware. Okay. Every state gets one vote. And each state gets to decide how many commissioners is what they're called, how many commissioners to send, but then they have to caucus and decide how are we going to vote. And if they can't decide, if they have a split panel, like if they vote 4-4, then they don't get to vote. And then what you need at the convention, you need 26 yes votes, because there's total of 50 states, a majority. You need one more than half. And then that proposed amendment goes out to the states. And then, 38? Is that 3/4 of 50? 38 states
38
have to ratify, and then it becomes part of the Constitution. So, Tammy, that's the short answer to your question.
Now, we might mention that the agenda of the convention is according to the resolution that the 34 states signed on to.
Yeah.
And our resolution that's being used here stipulates that the topics will be the national debt, the reining in the reach of the federal government, and term limits on federal officials. So those are the topics to be discussed at the convention to propose amendments. So can't deviate from those from that agenda. So okay,
Correct.
very good. Anything else, Ken? I didn't want to.
Well, this will probably take us way too long to get into another show, actually. But I had another comment on that from Terry Provo, who basically says, "Does COS have in place roadblocks should Congress refuse to acknowledge the 34 state ruling?" And she goes on to talk a little bit about the one party controlling Congress today. So, I know I'm hoping you have a real short answer to that, John, that we can throw out there to kind of solve that. Everybody wonders with the way Congress is acting today,
Yeah, Terry, that's a great question. And I think it was Mark Meckler. I heard one of our national leaders, and Mark is our president, and he's an attorney. I think his answer to that question was, we go straight to the Supreme Court.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's fully expected that there are going to be roadblocks like this thrown up and legal challenges.
Yeah.
I think that's to be expected on this. And folks, we were founded by attorneys, and we've got I think we've got some good legal people associated with us. So I don't see any problem there.
I just figured I'd throw Jerry Rowe's comment on that. I think it pretty much hits the nail on the head.
Good point, Jerry. Thank you for that.
So.
We just go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
that may happen too.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've gone longer than we planned. That's okay.
Well, you got that long-winded professor here. See?
Yeah. Any final words, John?
Well, I would just summarize by saying, what I did at the outset, that our actions and behaviors grow out of our values. And I think it's been helpful. It's been fun for me to explore a little bit, scratch the surface of the 7 core values of Convention of States. And I would, invite any listener who wants to get involved in this thing, go ahead, go to conventionofstates.com, sign that petition, become one of us, and let your actions and behaviors grow out of your values and help us save this republic.
Very good. Very good. John, I want to thank you so much for coming on and presenting that. I think you did a fabulous job.
Anytime. Happy to help, Dale.
Ken, any other comments or questions that we need to address?
There's a number of them there, Dale, but we'll never be able to cover the whole thing. We'll have to save some of these topics for the next time around, I believe. But a lot of comments in the chat box tonight. A lot of people are commenting on everything we've been talking about, and then some, and even a few questions about some of the recent elected the GOP nominees here that have come up. I think Diego Morales has become the Republican candidate for Secretary of State, and Daniel Elliott is the Republican candidate for State Treasurer. We had a couple people wondering what we thought about that, but I don't think we could probably touch that tonight.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Yep.
Well, John, thank you very much for coming on.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Have a good evening. Thank you, John.
Good night.
Take care, John.
Ken, I think due to time, I'm going to skip the contributor segment. So
I know poor Rick and Susan are on tonight. I'm sure Rick is like
once again, we're skipping over Rick. All right.
We're going to have to have we're going to have to take one Monday night and just play all the contributor portions. That's what we'll have to do.
So I'm sure that they'll understand. But let's go ahead and get into the polling and raise your voice. And you ready to go, Ken?
Yeah, we'll let Marengo start that off. And
all right.
It's your voice, a segment that features you. Scan the code and join the fun. It's your turn to be heard.
Well, as Marengo said, it's time to get those smartphones out. We're going to bring up the code here, the QR code, and we'll get to our polling here. So let me bring that on up and get the QR code up first. And if you got your phones out on that, that'll get you to the polling questions for tonight. Or you can go to slido.com, put in the number 4021798, and that will get you to the questionnaire so that you can participate in tonight's polling. With that, I will go ahead and pull up that first question because we are running a little behind tonight. I'll pull up that first poll, and those QR code will be available on the right. I mean, on the left-hand column there. So with that, our first question, if she's going to work here and come on up, is, did you watch the January 6th hearings? Did you watch the January 6th hearings? Some of them will say I didn't watch any of it. I'm curious to know if anybody watched anything more than 30 minutes. If you watched every one of them or none of them, that's all up there. Less than 10 minutes, and that can apply to if you watched more than one of those sessions. Just curious how many people actually tuned in and watched that. I know we at Convention of States are a little bit more astute as to what's going on, and we'll actually tune in. But I know we all have stomachs too, so it takes so much. But that's our first poll for the night, and it looks like pretty much close to a majority here. 89% are showing that they didn't watch any of it. So I think everybody trusted the recap the following day from their favorite, trusted news source.
I wonder nationally what's the viewership nationally?
Well, they probably won't tell us, Dale. Be sure that at least the mainstream media won't mention it. I'm hoping at some point there'll be some kind of. I think at least there has to be some statistics that have to be put out as to the viewership.
Put something out. Yeah.
So Well, we'll move on to question number 2 because I think that was pretty much an easy one. We're going to ask you now to rank the following core values that you saw tonight by 1, and I just the 6, not the 7, because I took those off the website. But rank the following core values by being by what you think is the highest value, if there is one. This may be something that we don't have an answer to. I don't know, but pick your top one. You don't really have to rank all of them, but if you pick your top one, that'll give us a good idea. Number 1, be kind. 2, the culture of self-governance. 3 was act, learn, and adjust. 4, the constitutional originalism, Judeo-Christian Values, or the real world measurable impact. There it goes. That's picking up. Looks like the Judeo-Christian Values right now is leading the pack as far as answers there, as far as what people seem to think is the most important.
Well, good. That's interesting.
That's interesting to see how that all falls in line. So, I think they're all important, but I was curious, and I think it helps us to understand a little bit how people are feeling about what those core values value the most. So,
good deal.
Interesting. All right, we'll move on to our third. It's just a little bit, but remember these will be open all the way through till Wednesday. So if you want to get on and still answer later, you can. Third question tonight is, come up here. Come on. Third question is, as we are halfway through 2022, and this is a text question, you can basically submit your answers via text. What do you think is the biggest problem we face going forward right now? I mean, and there's so many of them that we have had. We have had no shortage of topics these first 6 months of 2022. But right now, I think it changes almost daily. So I'm trying to get a feel for what people are feeling at this point is the biggest problem we have. Obviously, election fraud. We have November's a big one coming up. We've got border problems. We've got financial problems. We've got inflation. We're all cutting off topping off our tank 3/4 of the way down because you just don't want to see it hit that $100 mark. But it's curious to see what people are thinking. Controlling the administrative state, government overreaching, inflation, all kind of wind together. But this gives us a good idea. I mean, we have plenty of topics, Dale. I think.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
plenty of topics.
Interesting. Very good.
So, yeah.
Ken, I think we'll close out with our favorite acronym, GOTC, which is Get Off the Couch. And
Exactly.
Maringo Mike pointed that out in his video. So get off the couch, folks. And if you want to get involved, if you want to do something, if you want to help try and save this country, we would love to have you join us in the battle to make this happen here at Convention of States. It's we're using the Constitution to save the Constitution. So we would love to have you. And any final words, Ken, on your part?
No, final words will actually come from Marengo. Marengo says, I mean, obviously he uses the GOTC, but he gave me one just the other day. He said, I want GBTTS. I said, Marengo, what's GBTTS? He wants to get back to the swamp soon. So
get back to the swamp, huh?
He wants to get that gun of his active back in the swamp and eradicate some lizards back there, I think.
Okay, you hold on to that acronym, and we'll that'll be a good setup for he made a little video about that, didn't he?
That he did. Yep, that he did.
We'll utilize that on a future broadcast. All right, everyone. Have a good night, everyone, and look forward to, once again, remember now, next Monday evening, same time, same place, and we're going to do a roundtable. We're going to be talking about inflation, so ought to be a hot topic. So have a good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.